Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to the April 9th work session. If everyone could please rise for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alright, just to remind everyone, once again, Old Turnpike Road Bridge between addresses 197 and 210 is still closed. Please use alternate routes. Hopefully next month or so we can be able to finish that project up and open up that road for everybody. Spring cleanup is May 3rd through May 5th, and it's going to be at the South Fallsburg wastewater treatment plant. Let's see, do we have no liaison reports? Do we have any correspondence, Paul?
No.
Okay, so then, if that's the case, let's open it up to citizen comments.
Alice Camara.
Thank you. I want to get close to the microphone because when I'm home on Zoom, it's hard to hear. I want to make sure everybody at home can hear. I guess we have people on Zoom, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm here about the topic of the Whitaker Road Associates that's on the agenda here. I live in Timber Hill and I represent 46 homes. We had these guys on the agenda before, and we vehemently opposed to anything that will jeopardize our water supply. And I'll give you a brief example of why we are concerned. We had a house fire a year and a half ago in our community, and the fire hydrants didn't work. And I've heard this at other fires around town. So, what finally put the fire out was a water tanker that came from Woodburn, I believe. So, when people say we have enough water, I don't know what they're talking about, because it doesn't seem like we do. Because, you know, in the summer when we fill our pools, we can't all fill our pools the same day because it's not that much water. We have to stagger it. So, I'm wondering what is the next step in this process after tonight? And do they have new permits? And what kind of environmental impact studies are planned? Like the usual, the studies on traffic, waste disposal, the study on the roads which are already in terrible condition. And I'm wondering, is the grand plan to have the roads widened? Because every year we're having many more cars come to South Fallsburg. And sometimes people can't get out of their development to go to work. It takes a long time. So I'm also concerned about the way trees are clear cut on these projects. If there's anything that can be done about that. And in this particular project, it's going to be built around waste, what do you call it? Wetlands. And there are rules about how far away from them you have to be. Is there going to be supervision for that kind of thing? Make sure the rules are adhered to. Anyway, those are our basic issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Next.
Mary Adams, please.
Hi. Well, my name is Mary Adams, and I'm representing the Loch Sheldrake Advocate Group. We're a large group of Loch Sheldrake residents that are very concerned about water and the demand on water that's coming up. Oops, I forgot that. That's part. So, I know that some of the past boards saw this, but you all haven't. And I thought that I would show you, here are the more important ones at the moment. So this is a map of the proposed developments and in Loch Sheldrake, and these are the ones that are already happening. So I don't know how often you all go to Loch Sheldrake. Not that many people really actually do go over there because they don't have to, but are always quite surprised to see how much construction is going on. And I know tonight we're looking at a water extension for KJ Estates. And so I just wanted to present this so that you have an aggregate picture. It's my understanding that it's not legally required for the boards to consider the aggregate. We can approve different developments a la carte, which is fine until you start seeing them come together, which then has a whole different kind of impact. And I know you would know this, Mike, because you were in the zoning board forever, and you know, so you all know that there is an effect when you put it all together. So right now, including the two down the road, which is Westbourne and Timber Ridge, we've got 11 developments happening within a 2-mile radius. We have some concern that the DEC and the DOH may not actually, I did send them letters, don't know if they read them, didn't hear from them, if they actually know the amount of development happening in this area, which means clear cutting, which means stormwater, which means water demand, which means a lot of change. So I just want to give you a few statistics on some of the research I've done on the water demand for this area. The pipes have been in place in this area in Loch Sheldrake, not necessarily everywhere, but in Loch Sheldrake, definitely in the 60s, 1960s, some a little bit before. So some of the concerns that I have heard from water experts is the idiosyncrasies of our water system in the town, but also in Loch Sheldrake. And that, you know, I don't know that the building department or even the boards would totally know, if you weren't in the water department and like really turning the knobs, exactly what has to happen when the high population arrives. So one of the things that's an issue is that when all those people arrive on Friday night, it creates a demand on the water that's kind of unique because everybody's turning their water on at once, and some households do leave it on for 24 hours to drip or whatever, which is a religious requirement, and it's understandable, but it does put a demand on the water system. So that creates pressure in these old pipes. So my concern is that once the pressure's in the old pipes, they can burst. It's happened. It happened on 42 recently. But because they're surrounded by asbestos, those old pipes, the machine that they use to detect leaks doesn't work. So they can't detect it that way. So it's not going to be very easy to find leaks. The other thing is that when water is turned off abruptly, so again, it might be turned off Saturday night, or it might be turned off abruptly after filling a pool, and there are lots of pools being filled at the same time. It creates a hammer in the pipes, which can break the pipes, and this happens. And my concern is that the water department has been under a lot of pressure. We lost quite a few people for various different reasons in the last year, not that many trained people. So they're having, they're being pushed really to the limit right now. So how will it work when, right this summer, we'll probably have 4 developments online, maybe, we'll see, but they're building pretty fast. Zimmerman's almost done, or, you know, they're almost completely built. And also there's high demand for water in Fallsburg. There's new developments coming up, so that will also happen. And so, in my experience going to the board meetings, zoning, planning board, town board, a lot of the approvals were getting a new 1-million-gallon tank in Loch Sheldrake. So that's going to handle the demand. And that would make sense, except Fallsburg will pull on it, and Hurleyville, when necessary. Depends on what the water department has to do, depending on demand. Depending if there's a fire, who knows? So that thinking is a little off. And My other concern is that the formula that's used professionally is 120 gallons of water per day per person in each unit. So all these units, so if you look at this map, you'll see that Fallsburg Estates has 80 units, Cabana Sands has 76, Zimmerman has 44, and so on. So I worked out the numbers of people. So 120 gallons of water per day per person in just those 4 developments, not all of them, just 4, will require around 200,000 gallons of water per day. That seems very doable. However, that's 1 person per bedroom. In the summertime, of course people bring their friends and their families and their cousins and everything. Of course they would. It's beautiful up here. So I want to say not 200,000. And that's not including pools. So more like 400,000, right? Then if we allow some of these other ones to come on sooner, we won't know the impact. My request is, could the board at least slow down this expansion? I know they're all in process, they probably won't be stopped, I understand that. But we could at least keep our fire safety and our water pressure as a priority for everyone. And so could we slow down the process? All right, we've got these 4 happening, great. Let's see, for 2 years, in the summertime, once the residences are filled, because they're not going to be filled right away, what is the impact on our infrastructure, the pipes, the sewage? Loch Sheldrake Lake is already polluted with E. coli. They can't find it. DOH can't find it. DEC can't find it. Town can't find it. That's 1 lake, and we don't even have these 4 developments online yet. And you know, and Russell Garage, I mean, we're all right there. I mean, what a drag that that lake is not usable. You really can't swim. I'm not going to go swimming in it with E. coli in it. Okay, if and when these other ones come on, it's another 538,000 gallons per day. And that, again, is if your estimate is accurate, which I want to tell you, I don't think so. So that's the other thing. Can we look at the water department demand from this summer, from next summer, and say, oh, was it 200,000? Oh, no, it was 500,000. Great. So we don't have room for that. So KJ Estates, I think it's the last estate to be applying for this area right now. I believe in the planning board that they were given a delay because of water. So I don't know why they're up for a water extension tonight, but I just want to say we are not ready. Let's not rush it. We're not in a rush. The developers are in some kind of a rush. They want to get those things up so fast, but I don't think it's for the better interest of our town and for water pressure and for fire hazards and drinking quality. That was one other thing. When you have more people using the water, the chemicals in the water is much more to keep the pH at the proper legal level. So in the summertime, we end up having a lot more chemicals. So the quality of our water goes down for the amount of people using it. Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Mary, can I talk about what? Reading code?
Thanks so much. Just take it back.
Got it? So.
Anyone else?
Maybe not.
Does anyone from the public want to speak? Please stand up, come forward, and tell us your name.
Well, my name is Richard Hartzell, and several years ago relating to the development.
Richard, can you come up here and sign in, please?
That's hard to hear you.
And then I need you to stand right up there.
Sign in first?
Yes, please. Yeah, just stand right there so
We several years ago when there was the development that was not scheduled but being considered behind Timber Hill, we also did a survey of the neighborhood in Timber Hill, and you guys should have access to that. I just wanted to point that out.
What kind of survey?
A Google survey. It was basically a Google survey. It was pretty extensive, and if it needs to be submitted again, we can submit it again. We have it. It's basically a survey of all of everyone in that neighborhood, in their opinion. on development and things that should happen prior to development.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak? Anyone online? Okay. All right, so if that's the case, I'm going to close public comments, and then we can move on to department head updates. Do we have anyone here from golf courses? No. Parks, Arnold?
Yep. Okay, I'll be brief. I want to thank the board for entrusting me to look into the e-waste that was started last year. Working with Jen, we found a cost-effective way where it'll cost the town nothing. We'll be able to keep a trailer at a site to be determined. And bring old monitors, TVs. Will be no cost to the town where it was in the past. So.
Do you have a date set for that?
No, we haven't get the, we'll announce when it's, but we already have signage, so we'll be ready to go, we just have to find the spot. Of course, the storms killed us, especially at the parks, had a lot of trees down, as all over town, but, so we're recovering from that. Most of my staff won't be in, my part-timers, till next week, so we'll get the campsites ready to go. There's a lot of blowing of leaves, and we're busy hooking up water, and we have to hook up our bathrooms again. And it's a process. Takes us about 3 weeks to a month. So we're on schedule for that. We started to do some repairs on the dock today. They got battered with the storms also. We just put some new stripping around, and we'll get the boats in the water. They're not going to open probably till Memorial Day weekend, but where we store them, we have to get them in the water. So it's not too far off. There are some shows that were planned, Broadway shows, which were initiated last year. So we're really getting to the bottom of those trips and cost-effective ways in the future to have trips. But if anybody is interested, the next two are The Lion King and then the Michael Jackson show. So those tickets are available online through Eventbrite, and plus fares included. So it's a nice day in the city. But it is about $135 to $145, depending which show. Which is cheap by Broadway standards.
Is there a Knicks game coming up too? Is that?
I think that was done. These are the last two that I'm aware of. So one is April 20th, which is the Lion King. It's just around the corner. And then I believe Michael Jackson's in May.
Yes.
So, I mean, good shows, Disney productions. So we have tickets available. Besides that, that's really about it. One other thing, the 180 project that Jen and I are working on. We just started to clean up all the brush, and that's located on, I know it is Avon Lane, Avon Road.
Well, Arnold's beating us to the agenda. That's going to be
Oh,
on the next agenda that we got awarded that grant.
oh, yes. Yeah, I'm jumping.
So somebody working on that on my way? Is that?
Yeah, tomorrow highways are coming, we shift what brushes down, and they're gonna fix stumps that are laying around, and there'll be much more visibility there where it was a little lane dirt road, and really you couldn't even tell what was there. So it'll be nice, and we're gonna put some weather-resistant benches and tables, wire that has the coating, so no upkeep for that, and we'll just have to pour and really fasten it to concrete bases. But that'll be a working project, probably take a good 2 months for sure till equipment comes in. But we should have the highway portion with the lot, because that'll look nice with a nice parking area. So we're excited about the project, and thanks 180 for granting it to us. Any questions? No?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is the police chief.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So March was a busy month at the PD, 404 blotters, 36 cases that yielded 26 arrests. Our call volume up for the year already is up 15% from last year. We're not to summer yet. We've been doing a little stuff in the station. I want to thank Arnold and his crew. We're doing some updates in the station, fixing some floors, making some walls, making things look nice. We're going to do some stuff outside. Starting to institute some new policies for the public, for the guys. Property check thing that we're going to take care of. The guys are going to be out checking local businesses. We're going to put something on our Facebook page for people to fill out. You're also going to see some more of the guys on foot in each of the hamlets, signing out, making sure they're walking, checking businesses, making sure, basically just to get to know who your cops are. I think we've been lacking that here a little bit in the town. I take this stuff near and dear to the heart. The board knows I live in Woodburn. I've lived there for 27 years. I grew up in Monticello. I've lived here my whole life. So I have this in my heart, and I want to make sure that this is done right once and for all, that we get things squared around. So it's only been my first or second week. I was in Florida. That's where the tan came from. I had a vacation plan. So I did some meetings today with DA Connolly. Things went good over there, and I think we're moving in the right direction. I want to thank the board for the opportunity to lead this department. Thank you.
Thanks, chief. All right, and code enforcement, Greg.
A bunch of information for you guys. We can make it visual. So this is an update of where we're at this year for our permits and violations and COs issued and active building permits, active projects that are going on. So we are currently, like I said, since it was an early, since it was a warm spring, we're actually up. I don't know what percentage, but usually we average around like 900 to 1,000 building permits every year, and after 3 months, we're already at like 256. So we're ahead of the game. We've issued like 107 certificates of occupancy and compliance already this year. 122 complaints. We have 1,100 active building permits, which are over the course of 18 months that the building permit's active. That's how many are still active and ongoing. We're doing inspections on. We're always following up on expired permits. We have approximately 985 to 1,000 expired permits. That's where people finish the jobs, contractors leave. We have to stay on top of contacting all the owners, getting out there, trying to close out the permits. Real estate's been bid. 207 municipal searches are ready this year. We've been going almost 1,000 every year. That's when properties change hands. They do a search through our department. Our girls have to do a complete data background on the check for open permits, violations, write a letter out. I mean, it's a very time-consuming job. We're at 500 documented construction inspections, about 322, so 800 and some physical inspections documented. We have about 17, 18 active developments going on at once. And several of these developments are just about ready to be opening this spring, so we're going to be issuing quite a few COs come springtime, come summer, right before the summer. We have about 150 assembly inspections we have to do every year, which are places people assemble in public. We're about 50% through those. We started a little earlier this year to try to get ahead of them. Our camps, all our mailings went out early this year, so our camp inspections, usually we don't get to do them until like a month before everybody comes up because the power's not on, they're not up maintaining them, so we have about 70 camps we need to inspect. Our short-term rentals, we're about 30% on the yearly turnover of inspections, so they're all inspected. And then we'll be doing all our seasonal business operating permits, open to businesses. So, but we're about a month ahead of schedule this year because we mailed out the girls in the office, got all the mailings out to everybody, so we're about a month ahead of schedule trying to get all our inspections done this year. So I do have, in case anybody wants, this is look through it, so you don't have to ask me questions. These are all the building permits, violations, inspections. There's one section for each. And then quickly, there's been a lot of questions lately on how we've been handling the issues at Foxcroft. So I want to give you this. This is a complete list of the violations, inspections, and everything we did at Foxcroft so far this year. Plus, we've been in contact with the AG's office and Northern's office.
Okay, can we hold on to these?
Yeah, I made them for you guys, yep. So you guys can look through them so you can see where we're at.
When you say active developments, what is considered an active development?
All the developments that are still being worked on, Myron Hills, Fallsburg, just the active developments.
They've already
Zimmerman Estates.
received the.
They have received, the people have not received, yes, they've already received planning board approvals, but they have at some phase of work, whether they're land clearing, whether their houses are being built, whether they're.
So 17 developments does not include what's going through the planning
Oh,
board pipeline?
no, these are active every day. We split up like 4 different ways, and I send my guys every week to each development to do inspections, foundation, concrete inspections, footing drain inspections, insulation inspections. It's just a.
See, so it's from the foundation forward.
Correct. I mean, we try to stay involved with the SWIP stuff, but that's mostly we leave to the SWIP inspectors and the engineers, which is the storm water, to make sure they're not polluting the streams and rivers, but we're keeping an eye on that too.
With the short-term rentals, the 70% that haven't been inspected, does that mean that they cannot rent them out until they?
No, it's just that we have to inspect them every year, so most of them don't start renting until the summer season, so they've been holding off getting their inspections, or they haven't contacted us. In other words, only 30% of them we're probably like 70% in compliance right now, 30% have been inspected, but we still have to get into the other ones. We have to send letters out telling them they need an inspection every year.
They don't do
Because
their
they don't do it
short-term
on their
rental.
own.
You don't do your short-term rental like they do the camps. Everybody's due at the same time at the camp. With the short-term rental, you're due when your year's up. So if you did it in June, you're due in June. If you did it in January, you're due in January.
I see, it's not that you just didn't get around to it, it's that they're not.
It's just, it's not in rotation. We didn't do them all, they're not all at once, yeah. They're, as people register for their short-term rental, then we set the clock for a year that they have to do an inspection. And they're supposed to contact us and schedule the inspections, but we're the ones always chasing. Nobody voluntarily puts in an application for an inspection. We have to send out letters to every camp, every year, every store owner, every year, it's time for your inspection. Without it, they just open up and then we have a violation, we have to fix it, go backwards, so.
And you have 57 complaints and violations that haven't been resolved, right?
Correct, from this year. Or they're in the middle of a court process, or we haven't gotten any response back from
Or
them.
the complaint came in last week and.
Or, yes, correct.
Followed through? Okay,
Correct.
gotcha.
We're generally way ahead of, there's always 3 times more complaints issued than we resolve. And at the end of the year, we're always behind resolving complaints. And then when we have free time, if the complaint wasn't resolved, we have people going through the folders trying to remedy the old complaints. It's a revolving door.
I'll bet. Any board questions? No? All right, thank you, Greg. All right, so we have no more department head updates, so let's move on to agenda items. We only have one item on the agenda tonight, and that's simply a motion to approve the town board minutes from last week, 4/2/24. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion second, all in favor? Aye. All right, motion passes. All right, discussion items. First on our list is Whitaker Road Associates, LLC. This is SBL number 47-1-5.2, F47A-1-26, water and sewer extension presented by agriculture.
This has been before this board the first time. We try to get some action with prior board and prior council, and our letters and requests basically were unanswered. So this is the first opportunity I've had to speak to a live board concerning Whitaker Road development. Incredibly, this development has been around since 2002. The latest iteration is for 196 residential units on individual parcels on 153 acres. I have a site plan, which I will show you. And this is the latest iteration of this development. It is presently before the planning board, although nothing has happened in a long time. And the only thing before the planning board is what you see in front of you, which is a basic site plan. So no engineering has been done, and I estimate that the planning board approval process will probably take a few years, probably 2 or 3 years, based upon the size of this project and the environmental reviews that is going to be necessary. While we go through the planning board, we would like, in accordance with an agreement that was entered into in 2009 for an extension of sewer and water to this property. It is in a sewer and water district. There is an agreement signed by the Levine board agreeing to the extension. A copy of the contract has been provided to this board. And we understand that there is no sewer and water presently available. So the extensions that we're asking for contemplates that sewer and water will be available sometime in the future, and we do not intend to request a hookup until there is sufficient sewer and water. But one of the things that has been designed in this plan is, and I believe, and I've been told, I have not confirmed it on my own, that this property is the highest property in the town of Fallsburg. In fact, when I've hunted this property, I've been up there a number of times, and if you're on, you can actually see a large part of the town of Fallsburg. And one of the things that we have agreed to sweeten the pot is to offer an easement for a well and the construction of a water tank on this property, and that my client is willing to contribute a significant amount to the cost of a water tank. In fact, I've highlighted the area where the water tank is intended to go, and there is a road that leads to the Hopeful water tank from the main road. In other words, there's a road from Whitaker Road going through the property and then to the water tank, so a separate road that leads to the water tank. So while we understand there is no sewer and water, and that's probably my best guess, anywhere from 2 to 5 years from this point onward, because I understand from, not from professionals, but from hearsay, that it might take as long as 3, 4 years, 5 years to extend or expand the Fallsburg sewer plant. So we're planning ahead. We're looking to the long term, but I'd like to talk to someone, your attorney, your engineer, to see if we can pursue the contract that was agreed upon in 2009. And one of the reasons for the delay in this development has been a succession of owners. And if you recall, in 2009 there was a tremendous down market in real estate. There was a disaster, and so there was no development for 3 or 4 years after that. And now there's a new owner who is ready to move forward on this project. So I would like to get it rolling. I know we have to deal with the professionals, either counsel for the town or the planning board of the CBA, and your engineer, to see if we can work out a comprehensive plan so that it's good for my client and it's good for the town, because the town will have another source of water, and a water tank, which we will contribute to.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? So the agreement was made back in 2009, you said?
Yeah.
And then I guess there was a new owner, and I guess some.
Well, it's been in limbo. I mean, for a number of years, the market was such that nobody really wanted to put any money into developments, and I think that I've seen that in a number of different circumstances. And we're ready to move forward with both the planning board application and approvals, as well as getting extensions for the sewer and water. All contingent on the availability of sewer and water. Planning board's not gonna give us approval without sewer and water anyway.
So if it takes 20 years for the new, plant to come online, then you could have houses that are built ready to go but can't be occupied for 20 years?
Well, if we're not gonna have new sewer and water in 20 years, then we have a serious problem.
I think if everything went perfect with the sewer and water, I think it's 6 years away.
Well, we might have to wait 6 years, but in the meantime, my client wants us to get this rolling. We're gonna pay for the usual costs of extending the lines, both the engineering costs, the construction costs, and everything else that's necessary. And then we're gonna go before the planning board, knowing full well that we're not gonna be able to put up houses until we have sewer and water. And then it's a question of funding also, whether you get money from, because if, from what I hear, if you don't get funding from federal or state sources, the cost might be prohibitive to expand the sewer, but you gotta expand the sewer sometime or another. Otherwise, there's absolutely no development, not even for single-family homes, and you're just cutting off all development down to over.
Right, so you mentioned that your client is willing to contribute towards, financially towards the water capacity. Would they be willing to contribute towards a new treatment plant?
I don't think so.
No?
We don't have to, that's not part of the deal. The agreement, in fact, this agreement doesn't even provide that we're going to provide for a water tank or an easement for a well. That's something that we're willing to throw in to make this more palatable. And we do have an agreement, and I think it's a binding agreement, which was signed by Supervisor Levine.
Do agreements ever expire? Can agreements signed 50 years ago be
Well,
enforced?
I think that, in my opinion, it's still binding upon the town.
Just so you know, we've met with the engineers talking about water and sewer quite a bit lately, and their language is very strong, how they feel like any extensions at this point would be irresponsible of us, so.
Any what?
Any extensions for water and sewer at this point, for where we're at, our engineers are advising us that we would be irresponsible to.
But there's a hook to what I said.
Yeah.
In other words, we understand that we may not have the right to hook in for a long time. And my client is willing to roll the dice and pay for the extensions of the lines without the right to hook in until we have sufficient water and sewer. So it's no loss. The town's going to basically comply with its agreement, number one. This district is going to be expanded to my client's property. Once again, we're not going to have sewer and water unless it's available. And once again, you're talking about the need for water. We'll grant an easement for a well and a water tank, and we'll make a significant contribution to the construction of a water tank, which will ease some of the problems that you might have in getting water. So it's no loss to the town. The town has no risk and no liability here.
I mean, there is some risk. Obviously, the benefits to the landowner would be that they can build 196 units. Do you know how much they'd be able to build if the extension wasn't extended?
Once again, this is like infancy. The project before the planning board isn't just starting. They did this plan. There's no engineering done. I don't know what the planning board's going to allow or not allow. I'm saying this right now. The project is 196 homes. Planning board might cut us down. I know there's some water on the property. We've designed this around water and some soft areas. Once again, the risk is on my client. My client might be spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for an extension and may never hook up or even build anything. And I'm sure I'm not alone. When I say I'm not alone, I'm sure my client's not alone. But once again, I assume that the town is going to have to plan for more sewer and water. Otherwise, there's going to be absolutely no growth, not even single-family homes or even upscale homes in this town. So you're locked into doing what you have to do.
Okay. Any other questions?
So if somebody could tell me, let me know if I have to litigate this thing, if I can sit down with your town attorney and work something out that's palatable to the town, and with your engineers, so if we can work something out. I don't want to litigate, I'm not making a threat. If I wanted to litigate, I would have started this a long, long time ago. But the last town board, and the last attorney ignored everything I did, and I hope that I'm making enough noise to get this rolling.
I think you're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah.
So I'm going by memory, and I'm not sure I'm accurate with this, but I think I remember this project coming from the board that I was on with a different owner, like a third or fourth owner.
Possibly.
And at that point, and this was probably 2019 if I had to guess, it was determined that the old contract was expired. I don't know who the attorney representing, I don't even remember, but I remember that it was a long time ago, going back to Levine, and I was on that board as well, and I remember they came to the conclusion that it was not valid.
I'm sort of new. They had other counsel. I think they actually hired counsel Steve Barsha at one time. Steve
I think
Barsha,
that's who we dealt with.
because I think they hired Steve to start a lawsuit. Steve usually is the. I know when Jay Zeiger was doing this kind of work, he did not want to sue the planning board or the ZBA. I don't have any reservations about that. Jay always hired Steve Barsha as our hitman. And so Steve Butcher, when he was hired to start a lawsuit.
It was young British, they're very nice.
They're the owners now.
They are?
Yeah.
Okay, so they were the owners 4 or 5 years ago as well.
So I'm here to negotiate a deal, not to litigate it. So if somebody get a hold of me and let me know, at least one way or the other, yes, no, maybe, and we'll follow up, okay? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ivan.
Take care.
All right, next discussion item would be KJ Estates water discussion presented by Eli Brazil.
And I'm back again, so.
Good evening, board. I'm the owner of KJ Estates, and just for clarification purposes, we're not looking for a water extension because we are in the water district. Our whole property is in the water district, and by right, we are supposed to be getting water from the town. However, we understand that this time the town does not have enough water, so we're trying to do one of two things. Either we're willing to drill wells on our own property to try to be self-sufficient and not have to be waiting on the town. The other thing that we're trying to do is to work with the town and see if there's any opportunity for the town to actually find or develop some wells that they do have right now, and we would be willing to be part of that solution. Meaning to say, for example, you understand that the town has potentially 2 wells opposite of the Browns Hotel that are supposedly very good producers, and I believe that the town engineer has now a company evaluating the quality and the quantity of the water over there. However, even if it's proven that it's very good and it's great, it still would have to be fed from those points to the town's water wells. But I mean, you know, the well houses, that's the right word to use. So that's one opportunity that we said we would be willing to run those lines on our cost to expedite this process, as opposed to the town having to go, you know, put it out for a bid, finding the money to do it and stuff like that. So we're trying to really do a 2-pronged approach, but however, I feel like my project is right now in limbo, not because of my doing, but simply because the town does not have the water to provide that they are supposed to be able to provide. So either we could go and drill our own wells at our cost and be self-sufficient and tell the town thanks but no thanks, or we want to be part of the solution and try to say, if there's something that we can work on very soon, then we would rather take that approach and be a win-win for both parties. We would get what we deserve, so-called, as being in the district, but at the same time, instead of wasting money or using our money on our own property, using it for ourselves, we could take that money and use it in the town and accomplish, not just for us, but it seems like there might be 200 gallons a minute of capacity over there. That would be tremendous amount of volume, and that could help the town in so many different ways. So really, we want to work with the town, but at the same time, I don't want to be like held hostage in a situation. I'm in limbo right now. There's nothing for me to do other than I could say, I want to just drill wells on my property, find the water that I need. I don't need a lot of water for my own development. I think we need like 15 gallons a minute based on our engineers' studies. So we're not looking for a lot, but if we could, and I believe we'll find it. We actually hired a company to evaluate our property. If they think they could find the water, they felt they could find, there would be enough water on our property. But again, if we could work quickly with the town and find a solution, that's a better solution. But if not, we want to have the right or the ability to drill wells on our own property, because I understand that if you are in the water district, you're supposed to really take water from the town. But that's all great if the town could give it to you. But in the case where the town can give it to you, we would like to know that we could drill our own wells if the need is there.
So Mike, I think you're familiar with the wells that Ellie is talking about. We had a work session with Fumaggio, and those are the wells that Ellie is talking about. I know that Ken was supposed to evaluate those wells to see if they're workable, because they've been dormant for a number of years. And the latest I hear is that he might be optimistic about water being able to be drawn from those wells, assuming that it's healthy water and it's potable. The dilemma that Ellie has as a backup, as a last-ditch backup, is to drill his own wells. The catch-22 situation is that once you're in a district, you can't drill your own wells. You're not allowed to do that. So, and I have not really given this a lot of thought. I would have to talk to your attorney, but it would seem to me that if he's drilling his own wells as a last resort, the town might be able to pass a resolution or an ordinance which would allow an exception in this situation so that we can provide our own water while we're in the district. So that's the problem that we face.
Yeah, that's difficult. With the KJ Estates, was this done at a time when you had to sign the at-risk statement that you'd be building at risk?
No. It
So
wasn't.
you're not-
The only time we did that was, if you're, it was before your administration. But we only did that in Zimmerman, and it's really taken out of context, because that's not what the concept was. The concept was that we're building at our own risk. That means to say is that if the project is completed before the new tanks are installed, we would not be able to come to the town and say, I'm ready, give me my TCOs or my COs, and give me water. The only risk, we looked at our own risk, meaning to say it only was a timing factor. That was the only time there was something like that. But it was regular, the approval process. We are not approved on KJ because the town doesn't have water. That's the only thing we don't have. But the project is all developed, all engineered, all the engineering reviews were done. However, we're at a standstill because we can't get, a neg deck and say the town can provide water when the town cannot provide water. So that's really where the project is up.
Well, what has happened with the planning board is that on a number of the developments that are close to completion, where water has been sort of reserved, the planning board has been giving a negative declaration, a negative deck conditioned upon the existence of water, and as well as a condition that the intersection of Carmel Jacobs and Route 52 will be remediated by a traffic light and a turning lane, which all of the developers along Carmel Jacobs Road in the immediate vicinity are going to chip in to pay for it, and that's going to be over $1 million. So that will probably affect Carmel Jacobs. Also, that will affect KJ to an extent. However, the planning board in this instance would not give us a neg deck, a conditional neg deck, because they viewed that water, by the time all the other developers get water, it's going to be ended. And that the term for KJ to get water is too distant, so they declined the negative deck, even though we felt they should have given it to us, because ultimately it's conditioned on water being available. So once again, we're sort of at the end of the line, and we have a lot of money invested in this property, in development costs and applications.
What's the address
that we had before.
of the KJ?
It's the right, I don't know the address, but it's basically the first, on the going on KJ, it's on the left side, right at the beginning of the road. Or 52, if you come, let's say, from Woodburn,
Right.
you're making that right turn onto KJ.
It's on the
It would
left.
be on the left side behind, I think, the bank, there's a bank over there.
Bank and the fire department, Lock Shelter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, just for clarification, KJ states it's 52 units,
I believe so, yes.
Yep.
and you need approximately 34,320 gallons per day, is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Which if you turn it back, in other words, it's 15 gallons a minute. You have to find a well with 15 gallons a minute,
Yeah,
which is not significant.
yeah, I'm looking at an old water analysis that's over a year old, and it shows Loch Sheldrick is deep in the hole for.
You understand? I'm not coming here to say, give it to me when you don't have. I'm just saying is that let's, not to put any other project on the table, but just use it as an example. Let's say perennial estates, what is it called, perennial?
There's a whole bunch of them.
But no, I'm giving you, I have a reason why I use this as an example. They were not in the water or sewer district. The last board gave them a sewer extension, which is not, that's not my reason that's not the point I'm trying to make. Bottom line is, what happens is, now that development is at a benefit because they weren't in the water district. They're drilling their own wells, they're gonna find their own water, and they're ready to go. But here, I'm a guy that I'm in the water and sewer district, and because the town can't provide it for me, so now I'm dead duck. So I'm saying is, I shouldn't be worse off than a guy who doesn't have water and sewer in this, who's not in the district, and let me have the right, or let me just find my own water and move on. It can't be that when you buy a property that has water and is in the district, and you're paying more money for that kind of a property, and you're paying more taxes on that property, but because the town, I'm not saying your board, I'm saying this has been something that was been neglected over the years, nothing has been done to really bring the water capacity up to par, but now the bottom line is, it's not fair to a landowner that he can move forward. It's either, like they say, put up or let me move.
Now I remember Perennial because that was Munisburg's.
Yeah, I'm not trying to knock them, I'm just saying it doesn't make any
Your
sense.
attorney's gonna get very upset with you because you're making a great argument for us not to give out water and sewer extensions.
Yeah, fine, you understand what I'm saying. And quite frankly, in the town of Loch Sheldrick, by not having more water, you have, from what I understand, there's over 300-something thousand gallons capacity left in the sewer department, in the sewer system. That's all capacity that could produce money for the town. It's not producing anything, it won't produce until you find water comparable, because basically no one is using, you're not getting those fees, you're not the hookup fees, not the usage fees. So you're in a business, for all practical purposes, selling water and sewer, so you have a product of over 300,000 gallons a day of capacity that you can't use, or you can't sell, or you can't use because you don't have the water for it.
Yeah, but I think what we're looking for is, as a last resort, hopefully there'll be enough water. I know Ken is searching the town for water, and if we can't get water in the reasonable future, what we're looking for is some imaginative way to allow us to put in our own wells and not take water from the municipal system. And he's willing to spend that money and maintain those wells, which will be added cost over the years that we'd rather not have. But we'd like to get moving and get that project going. And that project would be good for the town also. We'd add significant assessed value for a development which will only be used for 2-3 months of the year. So once again, we need some innovative thinking. I'm not sure I have the answer, but maybe we should put some heads together and see what we can work out.
You're absolutely right. The biggest issue we have in Loch Sheldrick is the lack of water capacity, even though we still currently have sewer capacity for the time being. So we are trying to find innovative ways to bring water into Loch Sheldrick, and ideas were floated around trying to bring some old wells back online if we can work through filtration issues. There's some of that can be cost prohibitive. We're also looking at new locations to drill wells, in conjunction with some agreements some mediation we're trying to seek with current litigation that we're facing from other parties. So we are open because we desperately need water there. If we don't have the water to support the approved projects, let alone anything that might come forward. So we are open to it. I can't commit to anything tonight. Again, it would have to be really worthwhile, especially if we can get I don't know what the quality of the wells are, but when Ken does his analysis, hopefully there's something positive there for us to be able to work together to bring all that capacity back into the system. So we really can't commit to anything now. So.
Well, I understand that, we're just looking forward, and if anybody has any ideas, and maybe a meeting with Ken might be helpful. And I don't know how far he's gone in trying to find more water, I don't know how well those wells, and no pun intended, are gonna be able to be used, but hopefully, they'll produce.
We have a meeting on Thursday to go over the
His,
update on that.
Okay. All right, so then hopefully something
All right.
positive will come.
All right, thanks for your time.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Take care.
All right, so that's the last item of business that we have. However, I do understand we have some items to discuss in executive session. So I am open to a motion to enter into executive session specific to personnel matters, and we don't anticipate any additional business tonight. So motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
Motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you to everyone that came out tonight. I love to see this kind of civic involvement, and I appreciate you taking the time to come speak your mind. Thank you.